Incremental readings. Today I will react to this video. My thoughts on incremental reading from Alexander Alamayo. I hope it's pronounced like this. I know this person from some years ago. He was, and I think he still is, an Anki user. And then, well, we met and I tried to introduce Supermemo to him. He was a skeptic, and then he finally tried. Because, yeah, it looks terrible, it's Windows only, a lot of friction. But then turns out that, oh, now I can actually understand what incremental reading is. And today, he still uses Supermemo. He actually said that in Reddit just yesterday. That's why actually today I'm reacting to this. So let's see. And his channel basically is from Anki, from this tool to Anki, that is to generate cards or convert cards in Notion and send them to Anki. Open source, by the way. Cool. So that was uploaded, oh wow, 3 years ago. Time flies, by the way. So just 5 minutes, let's see his thoughts. And this was just back in the day when he acquired the habit of incremental reading. So perhaps today it could be different. So let's play that.
Before we get into today's topic, can you do me a favor? Hit the like and subscribe button below. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and if you decide you don't like the content...
And why I'm getting this mobile phone gameplay is what I'm not... I haven't watched the video yet, so...
You can always change your mind. So, onegaishimasu. I've been mining for gold in the Supermemo wiki. Their definition is as following. So, incremental reading is a learning technique that makes it possible to dramatically increase the speed of reading while increasing comprehension.
This is semantic. The speed of reading? No, necessarily. No. You actually read slower. Is the speed of reading comprehension? Overall, you will invest less time, but you actually go slower every time. Why? How is that even possible? Because you only reread if you want to read the extracts and so on, but once you achieve the level of flashcard, you will memorize this. You don't need to reread everything you have read before, and so on. All of this time wasted is no longer wasted, but it's not free. You have to invest some time anyways to commit this to long-term memory. But overall, it's the fastest. At long term, it is the fastest.
Applicability and retention of knowledge. Incremental reading makes it easy to convert articles from the web into knowledge that can last for life.
Articles from the web, not from the web necessarily, books, videos, podcasts, anything.
Incremental reading uses spaced repetition to ensure high recall at low cost. We've already been doing some of these similar things in Notion and Anki, right? I think what I misunderstood from Supermemo when I was reading about it earlier is there are some key features that we don't have today in Anki, right? Anki doesn't have first-class support for incremental reading, and I think this is one of the things I want to highlight is priority queue. So
priority queue, exactly. Number one. First feature, the most required feature. If you have to choose just one in incremental reading, it will be prioritization, priorities. And especially this feature is the one that usually it's missing. Or it's just some super heuristic buckets, high, mid, low, or some color coding, or some labels. I mean, those are just categories. It's not a full-fledged queue that every single flashcard. And a spoiler alert, topics, because in incremental reading in Supermemo, it's not just flashcards. You have the source there. You schedule the source, the reading, and you convert this to flashcards. But going back to the topic, priorities is the most important one. And as he said, that what I failed to understand at the beginning was the importance of those features that are actually missing in Anki. And many people in the Anki subreddit still has this opinion. Hey, I have the incremental reading add-on. Yes? It's called like that. It's not implementing incremental reading. It's implementing some principles of incremental reading. That's it. The most important one is priorities. And Sadly, we would say, it is the one that will take you the most to get, to fully understand.
I'm reading a snippet here from the 21 Rules of Formulating
21 rules? It's 20.
Knowledge. I think that was the title. The link will be in the description. So, prioritization skills. New students, however smart, are often totally blind to the priority of knowledge. They are unable to judge the extent of their present and future knowledge.
He seems he's reading. But yes, this is, I mean, it's not what he said. I agree with what he says, but it's not the entire picture. So what happens with the school system, you don't get to choose what to learn. You have a set curriculum. What you do on your free time, up to you. But hey, now you have to do math. Boom. And this particular thing now. Bam. Now you have to study language, history. Bam. And not just any history. This part of history, this year, these events, pam. You don't get to choose anything in the curriculum. Then what they consider in the curriculum is because this is the most important things you should know. So long story short is you don't get to prioritize anything. The only prioritization you can do is based on time, based on deadlines. What should I do before anything else? Do I do this assignment before this other one? Do I cram for this exam before cramming this other exam? Other than that, you really don't do priorities at all. So it's not that it's hard, which, well, strictly speaking, yes, it is a skill hard to acquire. But this is magnified because the lack of skills of this artificial scenario in the school system, that everything gets chosen by you and you have no say. So when you are in Supermemo and you start incremental reading, is what do I do? In which order do I do? You will be inclined to just go through one single textbook and that's about it. And sorry to inform you that is not incremental reading.
They find it difficult to differentiate gold from garbage. Seemingly precious knowledge becomes...
Another thing is not just what to learn. Then let's say that you already have the sources. Some Wikipedia articles, some blogs in, I don't know, Medium or Substack, one random thing you in the further reading from Wikipedia, and even some book or textbook, if you will. How now do I assess this value? Where are the golden nuggets? What is the high value of information? Especially if it's a book, there will be a lot of bluff. That I have 200 pages, but 80% of the value is in 20 pages. How do I identify, hey, this is more valuable, right? Of how applicable it will be. I don't know, because what I have done since now, it's just, is this in the exam? Yes, it's important. It's not in the exam, it's not important. So I don't know how to assess this importance, this relevancy, this applicability.
Becomes garbage if it does not pass the priority test that ensures it can never be mastered. The lifetime...
More or less what he meant is that based on the priorities, since I have information overflow, if it's not important enough, we'll have a lower priority, and this priority will never reach. Meaning that even if I invest all my time every single day, I won't have enough material time to go through and learn all of that before I get my hands on the least priority sources. So there will be sources that I want to read are in my reading list or watch. Could be YouTube videos, but I will never see it regardless because I don't have enough time. I have information overflow. How you solve information overflow? With priorities. But again, when I say priorities, I mean a full-fledged priority queue. Sort the most important one from the least one. Everyone is unique. It's like in a queue of people to get into a concert or in a stadium. Same thing. Not just like in Notion. Oh yeah, this is hard, this is urgent, this is medium, this can wait. That's not a priority queue.
Capacity of the human brain is limited. Without understanding the limits, newcomers to incremental learning will often embark onto a futile quest for mastering details that would steal room needed for memories that are essential to one's existence.
Okay, the video game music is distracting.
Professional and beyond. With every passing month and with the constant increase in the size of your knowledge and your collection, in other words, also knowledge to be, you will better understand your ultimate limits. Your knowledge, selection, skills will keep improving for years to come. So,
Hopefully, yes. But that's not guaranteed. Not because you keep using Supermemo, your skills will improve. Nope. You can be what's called an expert noob. So, you have accumulated a lot of experience, but not expertise. So you have been using Supermemo for 8, 10 years, but you don't do the base. You only do the basic stuff. You actually learn or misunderstood most of the features. You don't get incrementalism fully, and a lot of stuff. So, difference experience with expertise. Experience guaranteed with time and with use. Expertise not guaranteed.
Supermemo lets you prioritize things. That's something we don't have. And I think this is really essential. If you're going to be able to switch between reading different articles using incremental reading, you need to have some kind of prioritization in.
Exactly. One of the features in Supermemo is the interleaved practice. You don't read a book or one chapter and then you move on to another chapter of a different book. No. You will just read a paragraph or even less than that. Depends on how information dense it is. As long as there's one memory, something that you consider you want to remember, that's already a repetition. And you will move on. If you want to do a session or something meaningful of high applicability knowledge, you have to assess pretty well priorities. Or you will see other stuff that it's off topic, yeah, but it's what do I want this now? This is boring. This is very obscure. I don't need this now. This leads when you don't want or you don't know how to prioritize well. And this is trial and error, and eventually you will get better with this. You will build your own heuristics and so on. But if you neglect priorities, there's no improvement. There is no improvement. And it's very likely you will never enjoy full-fledged incremental reading experience. This requires priorities. It's the number one, the most important priorities.
Place so that you can figure out, okay, this is the most important thing. I have to learn this and I have to memorize this. So you will see it earlier. But with Notion right now, I have data.
Finally, something that is not a video game. So he has a queue. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way. That's not a priority queue. It's just buckets. Empty. Started, not started, in progress, Anki fight. That means that he has converted this into flashcards. And those are different articles. Disadvantages of incremental reading, A lot of Supermemo here. This is not a priority queue. It's an example that now we can see. That if some other software is implementing this, or there's nothing, like in the Anki with the add-on, or some other personal knowledge management apps, I'm sorry, but that's not incremental reading. Just because this is not a priority queue to begin with.
Database called queue.
So what you will do is manually you go there, or you could set dates or whatever. We're not going into details. But you will be forced to go in a linear fashion. Even if you interrupt and you continue with a different source, you will be forced to this linearity, or it will be extremely hard to know what you have done and what you have left if you break the linearity. Because in Supermemo, you import the source, and you start reading the source, and you modify the source, and you will make it your own. You modify the information in the source, in the article, and this will be converted incrementally with question and answers of what you have chosen to remember. You don't take notes. You don't copy and paste. It's already there. You schedule the reading of the source with Supermemo. All of the reading states, it's in the app. Unlike Anki, that is just the flashcard. When I already converted the information to knowledge, and I want to retain this knowledge into memory, I will create the flashcards. It's just the last step. So this solution in Notion, it's more or less inspired with incremental reading, but this cannot be called incremental reading at all.
And I'm just using it as a Kanban board, so it's not really easy to see what is important because there's no way to see that. We could use filters and so on, but it's more automatic in Supermemo, and that's what we need. And there are other features like repetition, auto sort, and auto postpone.
Among other things, without going into details, based on the priorities, you have a sorting criteria. If you want, you can add some fuzziness to combat the priority bias. So how you see the repetitions is based on these priorities of the material you're reading, you're learning from, and the one you already did and processed are now are in flashcard form. You are doing flashcards and reading combined. It's not that you just do the reading, then do the flashcards. Everything is mixed, and it's super powerful to be mixed. And whatever you do, some actions will modify the priority slightly. You can also overrule the priority. Everything has a priority. The priority are dynamic, and the priorities also affect the starting interval when you will see this for the first time, and many other things. The priorities is the top priority, pun intended. It's the number one.
And seeing the hierarchy, right? I'm not saying that the flat tree structure is something we want necessarily, but I really do think it's valuable to be able to see the extracts and close like very easily visually. I'm working on
in the knowledge tree, he means, yes. So when you have, let me show you one example of mine. So this is an old backup of mine. So hey, let's see, health and well-being. Then I have sleep specifically. Then neuroscience of sleep or sleep deprivation. Then the Wikipedia page about the sleep. And I have the obstructive sleep apnea. So I have all of this, all of the context. And now I do the close deletion. And I will see now the flashcard. And that's how it is without changing anything. I could phrase it as what is the condition known, or what is the name of the condition in which major pauses in breathing occur during sleep, disrupting the normal progression of sleep and often causing other more severe health problems. Oh yeah, this is the sleep, obstructive sleep apnea. But implicitly, I have the context. If this was sent to Anki, okay, I have the question and the answer. I could use the X if I want, but here, implicitly, I can crawl what I did. Hey, I did an extract out of this. And this extra comes from, well, it's already gone. I applied done. But let's assume it's from stuff like this. Something larger. Then I did, hey, that's the definition. It's one memory. Let me take this and extract that. So we're here. Hey, but this comes from the sleep article. I also have this information here. So I have the ancestors. So with this, I have a lot of context that I haven't spent a second on that. It's just a consequence of what I did. In Anki, I will have to choose create tags, select the tag, perhaps hierarchical tags. This will be super time consuming. Cognitive load here is super easy to do, super easy to manage and so on.
On something special called Ichiban. I want to make the incremental reading bits much easier, and I think after we ship Notion to Anki version 1, I'll be back to Ichiban and work on that project and try to get some of these other features we have Ichiban, and that way you could use Anki and Notion in a different way for incremental reading. There are tools trying to get this, and it's just more mushed together, right? So you can't technically, I guess, if we follow the Supermemo definition, it's not really truly incremental reading, even though you can capture web pages and
yeah, in Notion you have the web clipper, and manually you could do highlights, I think, and manually you can do whatever, but manually it's not scheduled, it's not incremental reading. There are no priorities. There's no need to continue. There's a list of the minimum definition of incremental reading. Priority queue is listed as the fifth, but that is the most important one. Space repetition, because incremental reading is a separate set of space repetition. Then you have extracts and close deletions. A repetition auto sort and auto postpone, that is a consequence of the priority queue, also mentioned in this video. Anki with the add-on, you don't have priority queue. You don't have repetition auto sort and auto postpone. But just with this, it's gone, it's already out. It's not already incremental reading. There's no need to continue and watch the entire list. If you want the details, I have a video on that, about the minimum definition and how it is explained in Supermemo. So you see actual examples of each case.
Then save them into Notion and then read them at your own time, and then convert that via Notion to Anki.
But that's usually the difficulty, that unless you actually invest the time and try it, you won't perceive the difference. So you will think, oh yeah, it's the same. Or yeah, perhaps not the same, but it's not worth it. It doesn't make a meaningful difference. It's a big deal of a difference. But ahead of time, you don't know that. It's this that you cannot grasp it. You have to try it in order to understand it. And myself included, I was there. That it's not a big deal. What priorities? I could use this work without priorities, neglecting priorities, which I did kind of at the beginning, at a certain point. Because then it becomes a mess. Or you start prioritizing well, or you get bored. And if you get bored, eventually you will move on and stop using Supermemo.
Into Anki flashcards and use space repetition. So you do have some of the elements, but I hope to tackle that. I don't have time to tackle it right now, but I'm hoping, yeah, let's say after September, maybe I'll get time then, and then I have some prototypes, because there is something called the KG method, which seems to be very interesting, and that's
KG method.
Where my prototypes have been around, and I hope to bring a new user interface where we can interact much more interestingly with the data. And now that the Notion API is a thing, and it might actually be even stable at that point, then it's going to be interesting to use Notion as your database and build some really cool tools on top.
So basically, yeah, you create a tool that interacts with Notion through the API, and basically adds a layer of incremental friendly flow, a flow for incremental reading. Like James did the incremental everything add-on for RemNote, or the incremental writing for Obsidian. Still, not the same thing. But yeah, you get something.
So you can probably hear, I'm excited. Are you excited? Let me know in the comments what you think about incremental reading. And
if I am exciting, bro, what if I tell you I run a channel and I made more than 500 videos about that? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my religion, I could say. I will never stop trying to introduce people to incremental reading. So that's the end of the video. Let's see. Oh, a lot of stuff here. Let me see the comment. Only one comment, and it's himself. Bro. Hey, let's change that. And to answer to your, here you go. I just needed 3 years to answer and to watch the video. But yeah, better late than never. So nothing more to add today, and see you incrementally.